Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing the saga, The Crown of Autumn. We last ended the first portion of A Crown of Autumn with a series of tragedies, death, a lingering corruption, rumors of a dark sorcerer lurking in the shadows, striking at those who would accost him and set back his plans. The native peoples of Western Aurum have formed a coalition of tribes and peoples, mortals and fae, now band together under a banner of mutual protection against the invading sea peoples, the mysterious, oddly skinned people from across the sea, their bronze scale mail and coats and their corselets of oddly patterned bronze. Their weapons, the Atlantean metallurgy is fascinating. How their bronze just holds an edge much better than others. The metal is pounded harder. There is something about these Atlantean sea peoples is alien. For cycles upon cycles now, the Atlanteans have pushed in deeper into the mainland in search of something. We still do not know. They laugh in alien tongues as they kill our soldiers. They burn our villages. But they are not an undisciplined people at warfare. It is quite clear that they are searching for something. But coupled with this, there's rumors of an even shadowier threat that lingers just out of sight. Randomly seeming scouts go missing, search parties go missing, and they don't report back. Terry, how do you pronounce your character's name? Gunnar?
Gunnar, correct.
Gunnar. Would you describe Gunnar for us as he enters? He's been traveling on the road for, you tell us, however many chains. He has you found your way to a military encampment that is camped just across the field from the Atlantean host. Describe for us your character.
Gunnar is Ithnikai, which means that he's got the bronze skin, dark shoulder-length hair of his barbarian people. He is currently dressed in cold weather clothes and has a cave bear hide as a cloak. He has a very large war sword strapped to his side, and he easily stands 6'6" with a swagger. Very well built, humongously muscled man. Has very much a sense of power about him. Otherwise, is wearing of note a shield strapped to his back and some interesting looking greaves on his arms.
Does he have greaves or he has bracers? Greaves are on the legs.
Oh, you said greaves, but you meant greaves or bracers?
Greaves, leg armor.
Ah, got it.
The the mechanics with that is bracers do not stack with shield. That's
Got
why.
it. All right.
Different armor slot, if you will, quote unquote armor slot, to use other game mechanics terms. But anyways, I apologize. Continue.
No, no. Okay. So yeah, he is one very big fellow.
So you're entering this encampment. There are a few sentries on a makeshift palisade. Also Nemercians, a little shorter than you. They are not kinsmen Ithnakai here, but they are clad in leather hauberks. One of them on the wall, armed with a bow, he waves to you. Just he sees another one of his people, a neighboring tribe. It looks like a human. He waves. They do not accost you, and you walk through it. The gate, it doesn't have a gate. It's just an archway, really. Uh, you walk through, and uh, how much experience has the young Gunnar uh had with Faye?
Very minimal.
Okay, there it's it is a festival of nations here. Clearly plenty of soldiery. There are Arborians with their bark-like skin, world like freshly cut lumber, uh, which it calls to mind those dryad stories that your grandmother uh, told you when you were a child. Uh, there are bearded folk here. They're a dark-skinned people, sometimes referred to as dark elves, who the men have enormous long beards to their waists that are always braided in intricate, very proud of their facial hair, intricate fashions held together with fey iron or bronze, gold, or silver uh, rings. Bearded folk do not stand taller than 4'10". You tower over them. And there are a few ogres here who in turn tower over you. Uh, there are dawn fair folk, the golden skinned, lithe and dark haired fey forest people from the south, the warmer climate here. You walk through. It's a supply bag. It's a baggage train. There are crates and stacks of boxes, hay bales, horses, uh, smaller horses, not necessarily yet bred for armored combat in a later age, but there's a bustle. Very few women here. Some of the women that are here are uh, cooking, cleaning, dealing with supply, and very few of them are actually warriors here. You find a group of your kinsmen, the Ithnikai, who stand as tall as you are, uh, in their plumed, look like a forest green plumed helmet, almost like in almost like that Greek Corinthian style. There's like six of them standing around a table. Clearly, these officer types. Uh, how do you wish to proceed?
Um, these other Ithnikai, do they see me or are they engaged themselves?
Uh, right now, it looks like they're poring over a map with miniatures and small flags on it, strategizing. But their body language tells you that they're having more a casual conversation than more than business. Um, These guys look very, very tired.
All right. I will dismount a ways off and lead my horse over to where they are at and just kind of stand until I'm noticed and then give them an acknowledgement.
The oldest, a man somewhere in his mid to late 50s with an iron gray beard and braids in his hair, held up with gold rings, uh, turns to you, gives you a very tired smile, and he says, "Good morning."
Good morning. I just came into the area and am not sure what I've come upon, but I recognize you as brethren. Um, could you fill me in on what exactly this is and if I could find some place to safely set up a camp?
Well, this is the safest encampment on this side of the Tarandine, uh, which is the largest river in the west. Uh, and he says, "Well, you are welcome to stay. Uh, are you coming to fight or are you passing through?"
I haven't decided yet. Who are you fighting?
He points with his chin across the river, and you see the sea of significantly nicer looking tents over there. Very nautical themed artwork in the banners. You don't know what a shark is, but there's essentially a striped fish with a big mouth, is what you see on one banner that is flapping in the wind. And he says, "The sea people."
Have you engaged with them yet? Or is this pre-battle?
This is the day after the first day of fighting.
And how many of them did you send to hell?
A few.
Perhaps I would stay, at least for a bit, if I'm welcome. Far be it from me not to bathe my sword in some blood.
The old man nods and says, "You are welcome here if you wish to stay." He introduces himself as the other guys at the table are like, "Well, what the hell who is this kid?" This is what the looking on their faces is. And he introduces himself as King Thorondin. And it dawns on you that is the king of your people that you're having a
Oh,
very casual conversation with.
I apologize, my liege. I did not know who I was speaking to. I am Ganar, and I've left my village to see the world, and this is my one of my first amazing tastes at this type of diversity.
No, we
How can I
don't
be
get
of
to
service?
see. He turns, he looks around at the many different faces here, and he goes, "This is a lovely tapestry of people here. We do not get to see this very often."
And it's
But
very
if
impressive that it seems to be so um, friendly on this side of the river.
normally we're fighting the Arborians, but they seem to be just as willing to spill sea people blood as ours. So for now, we have a tentative peace with the tree people. May the dryads not bring us their wrath.
This
But
is impressive and amazing, and I would offer my service to you. I apologize again for not recognizing you.
he shrugs. He says, "I'm not in my I'm not in my regalia. You do notice he's actually dressed like a trooper, so he blends in. Which is a very weird tactic. Most kings are decked in their parade armor, and so there's certain advantages of possibly getting killed in a shield wall press with the rest of your boys when you're trying to blend in with them, uh, lest an assassin tries to pick you out. Uh, but Thorondin waves you over to the table and he says, "Let me bring you up to speed."
I head over, very humbled.
Uh, you are now the youngest at this table. Everyone at this table is like 35 plus and has gray hair. Uh, uh,
Ancient.
yeah, right. Uh, Life expectancy is about 28 to 32. So these guys are old as shit, and they all look very like Greek, like Hellenistic statues covered in mud because they haven't bathed since yesterday's fighting. Uh, so like you're standing next to Achilles on one side, Ajax is on the other, Odysseus is across the table, and Agamemnon is the one actually giving the briefing. And you may or may not stand there like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. And Thorondon brings you. Obviously, well, the battle yesterday was. I'm going to call that a draw. I was what we're going to call that a draw. That's not a loss. Uh, uh, they fought from dawn yesterday until dusk. Someone blew a war horn and both sides dispersed. And they've been like this ever since yesterday, and no one wants to sleep yet. So it's kind of like this awkward lull, like no relaxation. Are we gonna about to have to fight in 5 minutes? That's the kind of like the feeling that's what's going on here. And he says, we sent out a group of agents into the Suncrest Valley to investigate a disturbance. Something was going on, and the goblins of that area started to disappear. We don't know. The Suncrest Valley is a corridor that could be used to get around to their rear flank. Tactically, that's they're like something. Scouts were sent out, they never reported back. they've they're overdue like a month and a half, and Thorondin is asking for volunteers at this point to be sent out to look into what possibly happened there. uh One of the older officers looks at Gunnar and he says, "Do you does that horse of yours need a day or two of rest?"
No, I haven't been pushing him at all. So as my liege commands, I could be a lone scout and see if I can bring back word of survivors.
Can you write?
I can write
Can you read?
and I can read.
The king looks to a page and he snaps his fingers, waves this kid over who's like 12, and he brings over a he brings over a journal to you, a journal wrapped in buckskin that's has its pages held together with twine. Very, very, very primitive bookbinding at this point. And he gives you a set of charcoal sticks and parchment paper for making like 18 scrolls, a dozen and a half scrolls. He gives you basically he's giving you the ability to record and catalog what you're seeing.
Okay.
Uh, he gives you writing materials, and he says, "Go to Theron." The king is speaking. Thorondon says, "Go to one of the supply tents. Get as much food and supplies as you need for as long as you think you will be gone. If you are gone a chain, then get food for a chain. If you think you're going to be gone for a month, get some for a month. If you're going to be gone for 6 months, do so. Tell one of the officers at the gate who is sending you, myself, and how long you plan on being gone so we can have an accurate timetable."
I understand, and I will obey.
Safe travels to you.
I will give my life to bring back word of what's going on.
And we will hold out here as long as we can.
Good luck.
He nods, and you are dismissed from the officers' table.
All right. Huh. I've got a mission. Interesting. I will see if I can figure out where this supply tent is and see if I have another Ithnikar soldier that I could pester and say I have to go to a supply tent, a supply area. Where should I go?
Yeah, you can flag down one of the troopers nearby. Uh and he actually walks you over to the one of the bigger pavilions where food is actually kept. There is a fair folk there. Is a she is standing there with a similar journal to the what you have been given, kind of like a clipboard type thing where she's recording this, that, and the other thing on grains, fruits, dried fishes. It smells amazing in here, by the way. Um, there is anything from arms, armor, foodstuffs, repair supplies. Uh, it is a God, you're a kid in a candy shop. What are you looking for?
Food. I explained, I'm going to go up and introduce myself. I'm Gnar, and I was sent here as preparation to go scout and as directed by the king.
She nods. What what all do you need?
I need 3 months worth of food.
She nods. Uh, and she takes down some notes. She edits some of her documents, and you actually see her put together uh, a few water skins. She actually gives you a wine skin, some kind of primitive cheese wrapped up, bread. Actually get a half a dozen apples, enough to give you a pretty considerable morale bonus on the march. Fruit, grain, meat. She's mostly dried fish at this point, and uh, shelf stable primitive cheeses. she gives you two large saddlebags for your horse, and she says this will last you at standard ration daily consumption, standard rations. She's throwing the military terms at you. Uh, this should last you 3 months. Half rations if you fast will get you twice that. Do not drink all of the wine in one day.
I'm sure I'll resist, but thanks for the warning.
The wine is medicated with an herb that will stave off pain and the cold. F might say as a sidebar, she's giving you a medicated painkiller.
Nice. I understand. Thank you very much. Appreciate your service.
And with that, you probably dismiss yourself to the stables where your horse was kept. Describe your horse for us. What does the primeval horse of Arklanhar look like at this time?
Uh, it's not quite a war horse or necessarily a trained war horse, but it's very large in order to accommodate my size and weight. It's completely black, no color whatsoever, just black.
Okay.
And he calls it horse.
Horse. He has no name. What song is that? The horse with no name?
That's it. The horse with no name.
The horse is that the title of the song? Oh, I see. Okay, all right.
But he has a name.
Glad.
It's horse.
Horse. And with that, you off into the bush you go with writing materials and quite a bit of supply to be gone. See the Suncrest mountain range and valley are to the north and the east of you guys, and it kind of makes a crescent shape that goes north and west. It kind of like it's curves back in the other direction. Which if you were traveling due west, you would have met. Obviously, you would have met the encampment there on the river. Is there anything
right.
that you need to do, or that you think that you want to do before you leave civilization? Quote
Nope,
unquote
I've got
civilization.
everything that I was, traveling with. The food was a huge bonus, but pretty much anything that he needed, he already had with. So,
Okay, perfect. With that, we will go to the next scene. You've been traveling for 3 days. You find yourself in the foothills of that low mountain range of the Suncrest. The trees down here in the lowlands, mostly oaks, chestnuts, and poplars, slowly transition up higher into the higher altitudes to firs and evergreens. It is the world is locked in a state of perpetual autumn as the rumors have spread to the non-Fae communities and many of the wise women and hedge magicians and spirit mystics of the West have begun to whisper that the Queen of Autumn, the lady that sees over the passage of the autumn season, was slain, and her crown of power was taken from her. And as things are of this world, and mysteriously so, if a being does not wear the crown of the season, time cannot continue. There is a monarch for each of the seasons, a summer, winter, spring, and fall. There was a queen who saw over fall, it's autumn. There is a queen of winter, and there are two lords of spring and summer. One of these four seasonal siblings is no longer with us, and it has begun to show in the trees and the spirits of the land. The spirits are restless. The fae of the fairy courts are restless and very much made to be upset. We do not cross the fae at this time in history. Some have begun to whisper that these are the end of times, and the trees cannot put down their leaves. They're holding on to their brightly, however beautiful it may or may not be. They cannot drop their leaves because dropping their leaves signifies passage of time into winter, the next season. And those who understand the spirit world see that trees are in a state of nightmarish agony. To describe it in a way that possibly humans of Earth could understand. You're grocery shopping, right? And you've got your car full of groceries, and you're taking all of your groceries into the house at once. You can do that. It's really awkward and it's really heavy. But once you get inside, now imagine you can't put them down. And you can't, something is stopping you. We can just put them down on the floor and start organizing, put everything in the kitchen. That's totally fine. Put something supernatural into the equation where you're holding all of that weight and you are unable to put it down. For 150 years. Agony. That is what the trees are feeling. And in return, the evergreen tree, the firs, the pines, are simply waiting patiently in the patient fashion that they can, and trees are supposed to be patient in. As Gunnar finds a game trail to link up with, and your horse trots through these rough game trails. Your horse is more or less guiding himself at this point. You simply let him go about his semi-feral navigation. Your tack, your horse and gear at this time is very primitive. You have what equates to a primitive bridle, a harness for the horse's face and reins, and your saddle is a pair of folded up quilts and a horse blanket, and maybe your cloak if he gets cold, the horse gets cold. It's probably the closest thing to barding as your horse has probably ever wore in his life. But a cave bear cloak is pretty luxurious for a horse. Is it fair to say that this primeval horse that you're riding is pretty pampered?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean,
E-
Gunnar,
Unfortunately, we don't have the technology to give him bronze horseshoes. You're not that heavy that he needs horseshoes uh, yet, but he copes with the abuse of travel, being the semi-feral individual he is. Sorry, Terry, I cut you off there.
I don't know. Gunnar sees horse as, um, to keep, him from having to walk and to carry his supplies, and so it behooves him to treat the animal well.
Hooves, no pun intended.
Indeed. One thing I was going to mention, narrator, that
Yes.
Gunnar is not only is he especially aware,
Oh,
he has a total of +4. He's got a level 2 in awareness, but
okay.
because of his cunning score, and that's also one of his fortes, he just naturally has a, a 4, a +4 in awareness. So he's
Beautiful.
as he's going along and just kind of letting the horse do the thinking.
Hey,
He's not going to miss the opportunity to use his awareness, but also he has wild lore level 2. So he's
nice.
taking in, so he's got a total of +3 with his
Excellent.
wild lore. And so he's going to be taking in the scenery. He's going to be looking for any signs of disturbances, watching out for ambushes. He did understand from the king's talk that the scouts went out, they never returned. So there could very well be enemy coming around and using the same back path as what the king was thinking. So he is not assuming anything.
Okay. Uh, Despite the beauty of a late autumn day, with the undertone of the supernatural significance of the extended season there, uh, you're not you're not particularly um I was about to say you're not particularly aware. No, you're very aware that you're quite safe here. You are the only sentient being out here and that you've seen for days. Uh, the signs of life here, you see animal life. You spooked an elk uh, earlier this morning, and the huge striped thing, big Irish deer looking thing, uh, bounded off gracefully into the brush, trailing its antlers. Uh, and no, you're head on the goddamn swivel. You find yourself at the top of the ridge, looking down into the valley, as the light of the dying day uh, sets there. You start to see uh, points of light uh, in the darker portions of the valley there. Clusters of campfires that you understand with these be small villages. Uh, you know that there are goblin communities that live here. They are not particularly hostile. The one goblin slave that had showed up in your village actually came from one of these. He spoke highly of his people. They tend to like to be left alone. Don't go bother them. They won't go bother you. They're not a raiding people. They are simply copper miners who want to be left the well alone. Uh, They only have contact with people outside the valley when there is abundance of ore that can be traded for other things that they cannot fabricate. Uh, Goblin rot, metal products are a fine thing to have, uh, but you do not have time for such things. There are rumors of a haunted tomb, an ancient Nemersian sorcerer was buried here, mummified and buried here. His coven was keeping an ancient way of seasonal magics and some more esoteric nature lore, and an order of strange warriors that only fought with their hands and feet also stood with these nature sorcerers, and an interesting cult of spirit worship. Gardeners and agriculturists, given a spiritual religious inclination. These people somewhere here are buried in a tomb in the hills. Uh, is Gunnar particularly religious or superstitious? Does he have a fear of magic? He said he was a barbarian earlier. Are you sticking with the noble savage, not trope, but theme?
Well, he's not superstitious. He is little stitious.
Little
He's got
stitch. Yeah,
you got
right. There you go. Wonderful. I like that.
he's got an occult score of 6, so he's never really been exposed to anything. So he would just have, the normal respect that was probably, picked up and trained into him, being
Okay.
in his village and his family unit. But not anything that he's ever like, yeah, I say the words and I understand. I mean, everybody knows that the spirits control the wind and control the sun, and well, a god controls the sun, and we have to give them respect. But that's never been anything that's had anything to do with me.
Fair. He's very much, I know of them. I have very little contact. I stay out of their way. They stay out of mine. Be nice, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, be respectful. Yeah, no, um, you down into the valley you go. Uh, your horse picks his way. Uh, we'll say he picks a very roundabout, probably in your opinion, a very maybe an overly cautious zigzagging way down, as you're essentially letting him do the traveling and the thinking at this point. You don't want him to bust a leg all the way down this hillside. No. Uh, and amazingly, uh, for a young stallion, he's pretty smart. Uh, it takes you several hours into the night before you guys get down to the valley floor, but you're both down there in one piece. Achievement unlocked. Uh, uh, he finds his way to a small river and he waters himself.
Perfect.
He's a particularly easy animal to care for. Uh, you're
I
kind of
think I
perfect for each other.
I yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, he just picked out a good spot for us to pull up for the night. I can tie him off with some leads that um, allow him to have whatever grass is here, so he can just graze and be close enough to the water if he wants to drink. Um, what does a traveling score get you exactly? Traveling skill.
Traveling is a save. It's a proof against getting lost.
Okay.
That we get. You won't actually have to make a traveling save probably for quite some time. It
Okay.
is a save that runs off of physique. Uh now, uh how do you two bed down for the evening?
There isn't anything here that I'm showing any signs that I should be wary of having a fire at all.
Not really. Uh you can see a village fire through the sparse trees of this section of the valley about 2 miles away. They don't seem particularly perturbed by having a nice bonfire to keep their village warm. So logic would probably dictate you probably don't need to either.
Okay. Um, as After I tie a horse, I will gather up a little bit of kindling that I can around. I'm not planning on having like a huge bonfire, just something small to you know stay
Keep
warm
warm.
by.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so I'll set about gathering up a small pile of wood and getting the fire started.
Make me a wild lore test then as you start that fire.
That would be a total of +3. So 6 + 3 is 9.
9 here. For a Mike, help me out here. For a 4th level character, the sliding stat for a moderate score. Sliding stat. Slide that those are saves, not difficulty tests, right?
Hold on a second.
Do it properly, damn it. Come on now. You got a 9. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you did it. Like, perfectly fine.
What the hell is that? So we're 4th level. So an average would be an 11.
Really?
So yeah.
Just to keep the flow of the game, I'm going to say you did it anyway. It takes you a little bit longer than you needed to. The wood was wet. We're going to say you did it on like the 3rd try. You got a 9.
Cool.
That's fine. There's maybe a little bit of panic that it took a little bit longer than you needed to because your hands started to get cold. But no, horse settles himself down, probably near you, near the fire. I don't know how Gunnar feels about sleeping with his horse next to his horse, but
Why not?
yeah, right. Oh, hey, he's a body too, right? He's
Yeah.
warm. So he you guys, the night passes uneventfully. My goodness. Hey, well, hang on here. Son of a bitch, it starts raining in the middle of the night. God damn it. So somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning, it starts raining. So that morning, more than likely, you guys wake up and have a particularly miserable mid-morning. To keep the rain off, probably fashion something out of one of the blankets as a as a tarp, and
As a really poor tarp.
yeah, very poor tarp. Uh, how do you wish to proceed with that very early morning start?
Well, um, it probably was raining enough that before I realized what was happening, that it put the fire out. So there's no sense in trying to rescue my campfire. So
Right.
I might as well just have some hardtack and some apple and some cheese for a breakfast. I give the core of the apple to the horse and top off my water skin with the stream that happens to be there. And as soon as it starts to get light enough where we can head out, we will.
Okay. Horse is a bit stiff this morning. Unfortunately, he probably did not sleep all the greatest because of the rain and the cold. But you find another game trail. No, nothing out of the ordinary here, which starts to dawn upon you that this scouting expedition is turning out to be rather blah.
Now, do I recall how many scouts the king said that they sent out?
They had Mike, help me out here. Araka, Ukion, Silmanos, Althir. Who was the fifth one? Or is it just the four?
Barrel.
Oh, Barrel, that's right. Five. That was five. It was yours, Keith's, your other character,
Jonos.
Jono, and then the
And
NPC you guys picked up. Five.
what about Shion? Technically it'd be 6, because no one knew Shion was dead.
Well, yeah, well, no, Shihan died before you guys went out to Ghost Owl's tomb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so 5 then. Because it was the
Okay.
3, and then 2 more went to go find the first 3, and yeah.
Yep. So, five. Five total, Terry.
Okay.
So how do you want to proceed here? You weren't necessarily given instructions that you can't be seen, but as a military scout, technically you are functioning as either spearhead or recon at this point, so it would behoove you to not be seen by anybody.
And if I have a stealth skill, that's just for me moving, right? Or can I incorporate a stealth skill into not being seen while on horseback as well?
I will say the horse can use your skill.
Go
That
ahead and
would
roll.
be yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So it's a 10 plus 6. 16.
I will say that your beastcraft with him, horse, would possibly confer the fact that if you know stealth, then you can impart that onto him. We'll go over beastcraft later on in more detail about the animal skill in reference to yours. Because you can share some of it. You can't share all of it. I know that much. God, we haven't used beastcraft in years, Mike. Holy fuck. Okay, cool.
I know.
We're gonna be playtesting beastcraft, magic, and sliding saves in this campaign. Yes. Hello, game design. Heck, excellent. All right. 16 for stealth.
Yeah, so obviously I can't control him stepping on dry twigs or anything like that, although they may not be dry anymore anyway. But I'm going to kind of take a more active role into having him go from cover to cover, reasonably. Like
Okay.
this, using the flora and fauna to kind of camouflage our travels. But at the same time, I'm still trying to look for disturbances that would indicate a battle, camp, an old campfires, um, any type of distress that would indicate that 5 scouts would have had to stop and either fight or make camp sometime.
Okay. Uh, with your with that role, let's say you uh and obviously horse is trained well enough to kind of naturally get what you're trying to impart to him. Uh so he uh first kind of maybe like does the clumsy animal trying to understand what you want, and but after a few moments he kind of gets the, oh, okay, walk like this, move this way, move to this, move to that. um he first sharp picks up what you try to tell him real quick, and you follow the kind of the heavier uh swaths of underbrush, and the two of you move pretty unseen as the rain steadily pours on after uh a couple hours of this. His shivering uh goes away after a while. You both have been moving. You're both warm under your furs, and you eventually find a dry patch covered by a rocky overhang that is a very old camp. Is maybe a few couple months old, that had a dug out. Uh, Terry would know this. Gunnar would not. Has a dug out stealth fire. If you're familiar with the Apache stealth fire, that's what this is. A smokeless stealth fire. So, um, translate that into character knowledge here. Uh, Player knowledge. Someone knew what the fuck they were doing. This is not, like, these people are professionals, and someone had uh, cleaned off uh, a portion of this sandy, uh, like, kind of half cave, to where, like, a few bodies could actually sleep here, and there is enough room for an ogre to actually sleep on their side in here. So you can get the feeling someone passed through here relatively recently. What do you want to do in this scene here, quick?
I'll actually get off of horse and just kind of take a step inside the cavern just to see how far back it goes, just to make sure that there isn't anybody in there or any type of bodies. I'm not like doing a thorough search, but just kind of like doing a peek of making sure it's empty.
Yes, it is empty. Uh, you when you are comfortable to continue, you find some tracks, mostly a few sets of what you would consider normal sized uh tracks, as well as a pair of ogres tracks there. Maybe like a couple petite humans, or or youthful fae and an ogre with them, and maybe you get like a rush of excitement. Oh, they had an ogre with them, so maybe maybe they're still alive, or maybe they're okay. Normally, ogres tend to take care of their own. Ogres make excellent traveling companions. Facts are facts. Uh, and you I'm not going to make you roll for it. You follow these tracks. You find your way to the next campsite. That was this one seems like it kind of been run over a bit. There are tracks, heavier, booted footprints. um, like someone had possibly moved through this area, tracking them, as you think. But they're not. These are more uniform. But you move on from this. You
Yes.
travel up a hill to a smaller ridge between two bluffs. And this is where things get drastic. There's a sign of a battle here. Of possibly these scouts. You find spattered blood in the leaves and against the trees. And you find the corpses of 3 trolls. Trolls, about 10-foot tall, rangy, lanky things that have been decayed at least 3 months. Picked clean by carrion birds. What's left of them is highly advanced stages of decay. Some of their armor is still there. Bronze mail, it would seem. Large wooden shields have all but been splintered or scorched by something. And clearly disturbed and picked over by scavenging animals and such like. This is a rather horrific fight here. You find the leavings of a bow, a long bow on an individual that is 10 foot tall. Yes. The bowstring is gone, is moldered away, and a disturbance in the ground and a dried blood spatter of something. Fae. You heard rumors that fairy people are not red-blooded. Their blood is actually gold. If golden blood could dry, it would probably dry to a mustard brown, and there's a spatter of mustard brown in the soil that has been rained on a handful of times and trod through. Whatever happened here was drastic, violent, and terrible. How do you wish to proceed?
Do I know if what I'm seeing, and I'm not investigating the trolls more than the curiosity glance through, but from what I see, the remains of the armor and the weapons, is this normal accoutrements for trolls, or are they more advanced with their armor and weapons here?
It's quite advanced. Terry, is that your phone that's vibrating?
Yeah, I got it. At least it's silent here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. When it vibrates, we can hear it on the speaker. I don't know if it's like touching something or not.
No, sorry.
You're good. Oh, you're good. But The gear is clearly stolen and modified for their large bulks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's not like this was troll gear. That would have
No,
been
it's clearly
pretty
stolen.
impressive. Okay.
Similar to Lord of the Rings trolls. Trolls of Middle Earth do not make their own things; they steal everything.
Okay.
But sorry, does that answer your question?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
Absolutely.
cool, excellent. Okay. But no. What else do you wish to do here?
Yeah. Otherwise, the bodies are too decomposed to really get any information from that. But I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed that there are two dead trolls here. That
Three
whomever
dead
took them,
trolls.
three. Oh,
3 dead trolls. Yes.
that whether or not this was a scouting group or somebody else, this is impressive. And he acknowledges that, wow, somebody somebody did a job on these guys. And since I don't see any bodies of any other um, non-troll group, I'm assuming that not only did they wipe out 3 trolls, but they at least got away. So yeah.
So
Otherwise, he'll just take another kind of look around, make sure that that you didn't miss anything, and continue on. Get away from the corpses.
okay, as you move on, as an aside, I'm assuming game master question here. I'm assuming as you're going through these various scenes, these various stops, he's actually taking note of all these in his materials in his report.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. We hadn't said anything about that. I don't know if there was like off screen character development. He's actually writing down and taking all these notes.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. You move on from there. A day and a night passes. Another day and a night pass. 2 days. And then on the morning of the 3rd day, you you come down to the river to resupply water horse and refill a wineskin. And there's a group of goblins in the river, just down river from you. A group of 4 of them, and they're fishing in the river, spear fishing. They're like knee deep in the water, and one of the males, a tusked toad-like in his prodigious bulk, wide of mouthed, his tusks protrude from his upper lip and almost go past his eyebrows. He looks up at you and kind of gives you this pondering look, a lone human.
I uh, I speak to them in Goblin because I have that as a language.
You speak the goblin language. What do you do? What do you say?
I just say, "Hail, um, I'm just passing through. I've got nothing on me. I'm working through the area looking for some companions."
He he raises his hand to an open palm to you. He has a tattoo of a sunburst on his palm. They see it. It dawns on you that yes, the goblins of this valley are actually sun worshippers, the devotees of Zabraxian, and he doesn't say anything to you, but he lowers his voice to his companions, 3 younger males, probably unblooded goblin hunters at this point, and they just kind of like they spread out away from him, and they just go down river to find other places to fish at, and
Okay.
and he just goes back to what he's doing, kind of like with this, like, all right, well, he's gonna be there, he's gonna stay over there, and we're busy. And he's explained himself, and I'm not going to raise my voice because I don't want to scare the fish away. You kind of get that feeling from him, like this whole like nonverbal, like, all right, cool, goodbye. And then he goes back to what he's doing.
All right.
Very peaceful encounter, but despite how scary they look.
Yeah, I was not there was no benefit, no advantage to engaging with them. So that's why I'm like, I'm not a coward, but if you're if you're considering it, it's going to be bloody. So
Right.
I will just do a passing wave and leave.
He acknowledges you again with the sun palm hand, and then wait, he doesn't look up at you, but he's like out of the
Yeah.
corner of his eye, he's watching the fish, but he holds his tattoo up to you, and he goes about his business. It's like, all right, cool,
All right.
completely normal interaction.
I will keep going, looking for the trail, but at the same time I'm keeping uh half an eye out for these guys just to make sure I'm not getting flanked.
Okay. No, you look back periodically, and they're fishing. They're out doing their thing. Like,
Good.
you go up to a rise where you can actually see them, and one of the younger males comes out of the water, and he's starting to put up like a makeshift, like a reed, a rack to hang the fish on.
Hmm.
He's like stringing the fish through their gills on a rack. He's got like it's like 14 of them on a thing, and they're busy.
Okay.
They're harmless. Uh, and no, you continue on your way. Uh,
Yep.
these copper age hunters, these fishers, spear fishers, go about their day, and you travel along the river, but up in the rockier uplands above the river for several more hours until you find yourself in a sort of grassy prairie where it's pretty clear that there was a pyre here.
Oh,
There was as a funeral pyre, and you can't tell what the corpse is, because it's been a while, but having some contact with goblins, your tribe probably had some frequency purchased or traded copper with maybe one of the tribes here in the valley. As it dawns on you, your home is not far from here. It's like a 2-week journey up and down over the mountain range, and a few more days east and you're back home. You've kind of made this big ass oval. And maybe you personally have not explored the valley on this side of the mountain range, but this is not a goblin sized pyre. This is for someone who was either your size or maybe slightly smaller, maybe a little bigger, but humanoid sized, with a little bit more opulence. Someone who was respected was burned here, and the pyre's obviously decomposed a little bit and had been rained upon. You get a sinking feeling like you hope that one of the scouts didn't pass here. You really hope not, but so you don't want to make any assumptions yet.
I will go ahead and make note of the pyre on my gosh, what do you call it? Journal?
Yeah.
On my journal.
Right. Pages tied together with twine. Yeah, journal. No, you oh sorry, go for it, Terry.
No, I'm I'm not gonna disturb the pyre, but like you said, I would kind of look through it and just see if there was anything left of anything, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna dig through the ashes or anything like that.
Okay. With that, you move on.
Continue on, try to find the trail, and depending on the time of day it is, look for another campsite.
It's about early afternoon when you meet up with the pyre. But you move on from there. You travel through a like a small grassy prairie to find a fork in the river, and beyond the fork, like a quarter mile, there's actually a small lake. You find some tracks in the mud, which you hope that are your scouts that you have been following. It goes in the direction of the lake. You follow the tracks along the muddy riverbank. You find yourself on the edge of the lake, and there is a rocky outcropping about halfway across this ovular lake. You take the few hours walk around the lake to find yourself at that rocky outcropping to find a cave. Now, interesting part about this cave is the opening of it. The opening of the cave is actually held up by none other than a post and lintel. Two stone hinges holding up another stone to make a rectangular archway that goes into this hillside. And something instinctually in you says, if that is not a doorway to a tomb or somebody's house, if it is not, then you're a fool. And Gunnar is not a fool. How do you wish to proceed?
Is there indication that the tracks came in this area? Do I see any, especially the ogre, signs of the scouts being right here?
Yes, they milled about. There was a small campfire off to the side here, up on kind of a grassy hill nearby, and you see that they actually went inside. Possibly they camped outside the tomb for a day and then went inside. All right, so before I continue, how do you want to handle this scene before we continue?
I think Gunnar would want to at least explore the very beginning of it, just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. And once again, now that we see funeral pyres, he's thinking, well, this could be another place where they would leave a wounded comrade or a body. So I can lightly tie horse off just enough where he's not going to wander away, but that if he got really spooked, he would have the strength to let himself free.
Right.
And I would grab my pack and my sword, have my armor on, and start to go up and take a look inside of the archway. Being stealthful.
Right. Roll me a stealth test.
That's a 10.
All right, cool. Does he have a light source of any kind? A torch?
Yeah, nothing that was written down. So he would probably be really limited into how far he's gonna go in.
Keep in mind you can make one with wild lore. And you are in the wilderness, so you could probably make a primitive torch.
I think what I would do is just first scout inside within what light range I have, just to make sure that nothing's going to be coming out and surprising me.
Okay.
And then once he gets out of range of sight, then he would fall back and go ahead and start finding some type of supplies for a torch.
Okay. In the light that the sunlight illuminated portion of this this first chamber, so to speak, is a sarcophagus room. There's a sarcophagus on a 2-step raised dais, clearly human-sized. The sarcophagus is sealed, but you can't see anything like on the lid. Beyond that, there are niches in the wall, which you would probably assume would be where lit candles could possibly be placed for illumination. Besides that, there's roots that hang down from the ceiling from plants growing on the hillside above. Not much can be seen here.
All right. First, I'm going to check the niches and see if there's any candles or anything that was put up there as far as a light source that still remains.
What candles or light sources that were probably there have long since decayed. And the one niche that you stick your hand in, you find your hand on the face of a humanoid skull that was actually placed there.
All right.
That was not okay. All right, fine.
We don't need that. Okay.
Maybe thoughts of what son of a bitch would play an evil fucking trick like that and put a skull here. Asshole.
That wasn't necessary. So I'll fall back to exit the archway and do a quick look around for something that can be used as a torch and maybe some rags that I can tie up to serve as a starter.
A pine cone, a stick, pine tar, and probably twine, animal sinew, possibly tied all together, and a pine cone torch will burn for hours. But I'm gonna make you roll for it. But you can make yourself a pretty damn good torch with knowledge of the wilderness and such like. As you light that baby up and probably cautiously draw your sword, standing in the doorway of this tomb, you look back at your horse. He is grazing beneath a majestic looking oak tree. You see the gold and fire colored leaves of this tree, and you're reminded of the possible uh, supernatural agony that the plant is possibly in, despite how magnificent and beautiful they may be. It is time for winter, and we are doing our best to help. If you would like to have Gunnar have a brief soliloquy before he enters the tomb, you may.
This looks like a good place of any to start. Depending on how big this is, they may have held up here, either injured or dying. So it's worth checking out. I'm not here to try to loot any sarcophagus. That doesn't interest me at all. Um, if this search of this seems to be unfruitful, I'm just marking it on the map and moving on. But it's I think it's worth my time to investigate.
You light your torch and enter the tomb. And beyond the sarcophagus, your torch illuminates a smaller archway at the back of the room. And surprise, your heart is leapt into your throat for just a few moments as the light illuminates a corpse, a pretty fresh one. A being that is maybe a hand or two taller than yourself. Humanoid, clad head to toe in a metal black as night. You've never seen this before. Metal should not come in that color. And you immediately, well, maybe it's lacquered. Sometimes folk lacquered their armor for cosmetic purposes. No. The metal glitters a blue purple iridescence in your torchlight, and the exposed skin of the face of this thing is beet red. His crown, his head, is ringed in a laurel, like a Roman laurel wreath of gold horns, almost like a thorn bush on his head. His hair, you assume it's male. You don't see breasts on this thing beneath the breastplate, nor are the being's hips wide enough that would be considered female. The face is devoid of facial hair. He has a tall, almost an aquiline nose. His hair is soot black, but with flecks of silver in it that makes it look like the night sky, starry in that way, with it pulled back in a rough, like a messy ponytail. A helmet, almost like a barrel helm that would fit over the horns, that has a kind of like a mesh mask where the eyes can come through. It's like an Anglo-Saxon half male mask up front with the male like half turned away. This corpse is maybe a few weeks old. The blood spatter is like black ink, dried and against the wall. His throat is cut, and there is a gash underneath the breastplate where maybe his hip and his, or like between his, like his hip and his navel has been slashed open, and his bowels had boiled out, and he died there in the doorway. His weapon, a broken broadsword of the same black iridescent metal set with a red garnet stone at the pommel. What do you wish to do?
How far does the smaller archway go beyond where the corpse is laying?
It descends deeper into the hill, into darkness beyond your light.
So, how much of the hilt side of the sword where the garnet is left?
About 2 foot. It would make a very jagged tipped short sword at this point.
Hmm.
You have
Well,
no idea where, like, how you'd reforge the thing, but the upper half of the sword is there.
yeah. Well, I've got to come back out this way, so I'll leave it as is for right now. I don't see a pack or anything that he would have had.
He does have a pack. A backpack made of a dark brown leather of an animal that you're not familiar. I mean, you know what a buck is, you know what a woolly rhino is, you know what a deer is. You even know what a mammoth, a bear, and maybe uh like a giant sloth looks like, but in their leather. What the hell this thing is? It's got scales.
Hmm.
The fuck kind of thing? It's a dragon? We don't know.
Does the backpack look like it is still in decent condition after these couple of weeks, I'm guessing, or a month?
Uh, Probably like it's soiled in what there wouldn't really get much in the way of like rain and or flooding up here on the hillside, but cobwebs, dust, dirt. Uh, he took the gut shot. Nothing you don't really, without like policing the body, you really can't tell. It actually fits on his back nicely. He's
Hmm.
got uh he's got a really pretty snow leopard cape. Like it's
Hmm.
got fucking like this guy had money. But fuck him. Someone obviously ganked him and he's gone. So
Right. But they left the pack. They, well, obviously left the armor and the cape. Is his cloak still in good condition?
it's got mud spots on it. Maybe he bled a little bit on it, but yeah, it was pretty damn good.
Well, let's see. Now that has some worth to me. So I will go ahead and see if I can remove that from him.
Yeah, you can take his cloak. I mean it looks rather fucking luxurious to be perfectly honest. That cat it came off was gorgeous. Uh it it's not necessarily floor length. He's a little bit taller on you, so it'd be cut to him, so it's quite long on you. Uh
But if nothing else, then horse now has a blanket.
there you go. Um and give us your soliloquy there as we see you policing this body, this alien corpse.
Normally, with what I initially found doesn't interest me. I'm not going to loot this guy's armor, although the blackness of the metal is, I've got some blacksmithing background. So maybe if I happen to pass out back this way unencumbered, I would maybe try to take the sword just out of curiosity and see if anybody can identify it. Um, that's kind of interesting to me. Definitely the cloak has worth, so that's worth spending the time to take it off. And I've got my eye on the backpack too, just to see if I can find anything more about this guy if I'm still on the right track of my scouts. This doesn't seem to me like it would have been one of the scouts because I don't understand where this guy is from, what this guy is. So maybe this was another foe that they struck down. So I'm very interested in pushing forward into the tunnel, into the hill. But yeah, I think it would take a minute or two to go through his pack.
Okay. And we leave Gunnar's scene as he holds up a snow leopard cloak. There's a sconce conveniently nearby. Stuck your torch in there. You're holding up this snow leopard hide and, like I said, a magnificent pelt. And in those moments, it's kind of a quiet reverence there. The first loot of this story. And the silence is shattered by a clatter, a boom, and the roaring voices of the underworld somewhere deeper in the tomb. And then the stage curtains go, excuse me, the house lights go dark on that scene. Elsewhere, there is a sea of blackness. And the being once known as Silmanos, his consciousness drifts in an endless purple, violet, and blue void. The being that was once called Silmanos, the energetic consciousness of the mortal Fae, drifts aimlessly through a beautiful starry cosmos, a sea trackless, featureless. You know nothing, you feel nothing, you see all and nothing. It is cold, but not. You comprehend space, but time is useless to you. There is no use of time. There is no need of time. You are a mariner of the cosmos. You know all and nothing. You are energy everywhere and nowhere at the same time. But then there is a vastness so profound that you cannot ignore it. And a powerful yet alien gravity pulls you towards it. Immediately, the light of the cosmos is eclipsed by a shadow so black and so vast. It scares you. It intrigues you. These feelings are alien to you, but vaguely you begin to remember what these feelings did mean. You know, you remember, you see all and know all and nothing. There is a boom, a profound boom sound that beats 3 times, and A golden white light shines in the distance. And you hold up your hands to the light to cover the eyes that you do not have. And something silhouettes this light. A colossal pillar rises from the nothingness to stand infinitely taller than you. That boom echoes through the cosmos again, beats 3 times, and then towards the summit of this pillar, a point of light, this golden yellow light that is silhouetting this pillar. This point of light grows from a pinprick to a candle flame, to a torch, to a bonfire, to a colossal sun. And then it hits you. That thoom sound rocks through you. You feel all the things and you feel nothing. The thoom comes again and it ripples through you. It shakes you like a British nanny. And the sun, the oculus at the top of this pillar sings angelically. You are drawn to this pillar by a colossal, unknowable will. You hear a roaring, a sound that is not a sound in your ears. Comes from just a low murmur to a crescendo roaring in your ears. And there is a wind that begins to suck you towards this. Your robes, your essence flaps in this colossal wind. You feel the coldness of the void, a vastness and a chill so horrible. It chills you to your energetic core. But still, it is a horrifying thing. But a strange gravity pulls you towards it, and in a voice so colossal, you hear the words "rise up" that echoes through all things, time, space, matter, energy. It rocks through you, and there is a moment of absolute silence. You feel a thumb pressed to where your third eye would be. The thumb presses into the middle of your forehead, and it all rushes back. You gasp for air, and the being that once was Silmanos' eyes flare open wide. You gasp. The cold, fetid, dusty tomb air of the realm of the living, and you feel again. You sit up, bolted upright, and you bash your head in on the stone ceiling of the niche above you. slicing your forehead open as the first instances of pain bring you back to the realm of the living. Mike, could you describe your character for us, please?
The man known as Ilmatar, known as Samanak, known as Silmanos. He jolts awake, bangs his head, promptly falls again. He probably almost jolts up a second time just from the rush of the pain and the rush of the realization of why am I back? Um, but his eyes and his body almost subconsciously, his head goes to rise up again, and his body says, "No, no, no, we just did that. That hurt. Don't do that again." So almost like that adrenaline filled instinct, he stops himself, puts his hands up on the stone above his head. And the first thing he realizes is, I can move both my arms. Why am I surrounded by stone? The last thing that went through his head was being slammed into the ground by a troll like he was a spike to be, put to land. He is a Dawn Fairfolk. Let's see. How long has he been in the catacomb, narrator? He said it's been a couple weeks.
You've been dead for 2 months.
2 months. I'm assuming cobwebs and crawly things abound, or has it been relatively clean somehow?
For whatever strange reason, you are not decomposed. You find yourself, you were interred. Turd, I think is the term. Your corpse was placed in a niche in the wall to where there were like shelves in the tomb.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll remember the skull pillar where
Yep.
all the apparitions were. You were actually entombed in there. And when you sat upright, you actually hit your head on the shelf above you because you can only sit up part way.
Mm-hmm.
And where it's like right there. You've got like 2 foot of clearance. But you are wrapped in the garb that you had beneath your armor. You had a blanket thrown over you that was displaced when you sat upright. You feel the texture of the wool blanket. You immediately feel fucking chilly. So you can pull that up to yourself and then probably swing your legs out to actually put those on the floor. When you do, your bare feet will touch the stone floor, just cold as shit.
Right.
And
Ice cold feet. Yeah.
uh, and when you stand, your horns will fall out. You feel you hear the clatter to the floor, and that like a buck sheds their horns in. Oh my gosh, when do deer lose their antlers? Is it autumn or is it spring? I can't remember when deer shed their horns. Sorry, Tara, what was that?
Oh, yeah, I think they keep them through the winter and then shed them in the spring.
Okay. I can't remember. I'm not entirely expert, but that's essentially the feeling and what's happened. That is from what you feel of your body. You that is the only decomposition that you have. You can go to feel where the stumps were, and it's like the textured, like scarred over nerves. I mean, it's not dead there. You've just shed. Uh, Fair folk are not supposed to shed their horns. Uh,
He,
you've
so
never
yeah,
heard of this happening.
right. So yeah, basically he would put his feet on cold floor, suppress like the the yelp of the shock of cold. Um, he'll hear the clatter of the horns and thank the deities no one is around because they will literally see him just agape, staring at these for a moment. No sound is coming out of his mouth. He's almost trying to scream, but like nothing is actually producing. Um, he'll put his feet down again, kind of gingerly, so like his feet like acclimates more, so he can actually like put pressure down. I'm assuming when he actually goes to stand, he's going to be like a newborn fawn and
Wobbly legged.
have to get his legs for a moment. Um, he'll actually turn to the skull pillar and he'll give a nod of reverence, like the bow of reverence to it. Um, then he'll actually lean down and pick up his horns, and he'll just hold them in his hands. Blanket falling down, he'll put the blanket back up over his shoulders. Dumbfounded is the only word I can give him right now. He is confused on so many levels. Uh, why is he down here? How is he down here? Is he the only one that's coming back? Where is everyone else? Why did my horns fall out? Are any of the apparitions about, or do I feel any of them about?
Uh, as you ask that, you just naturally start to reach out uh, with your uh, with your sorcery, and you begin to feel again. Feel that sixth and seventh sense that sorcerers seem to have, and you hear a roaring in your mind, a a a phrase, to arms, to arms. They're here. They're coming to arms. And there is a rush. Uh, there are, you look up from your tomb, and there are apparitions in the panoply of war rushing towards the corridors and out. These monks, as you had come to call them, these unarmed fighters. There are uh, apparitions of warriors, green knights of a past age, uh, sorcerers in their ghostly forms are preparing for battle. And then as you reach out further, there's living here. And then you hear a roar from the underworld, and alien tongues casting or preparing spells, and a number of individuals gathering their will, and you immediately know what you need to do.
Looking around, is there any of my equipment left behind? Is there anything of use to me left behind?
Besides your own magic, no. You could possibly look at any of the other tombs to see who possibly was buried with their accoutrements of life, but besides, you were not buried with any of your personal effects. No.
And he knows well enough not to disturb their things. That's not his place to do.
Amidst the throng of apparitions, you do in fact see Ghost Owl there, the ancient Ithnakai sorcerer from the past age. His beard iron gray and to his waist, in a brown cloak, with a gnarled wooden stave and a copper broadsword at his hip. He is speaking with other apparitions there, as the spirits of this place are very much perturbed, and they're attempting to mount some kind of defense. This place, this stronghold, is clearly under siege,
Right.
and now
Right. Yeah, he will. He'll put the blanket around him. Probably he wouldn't know what this is, but he'll put it around like toga style, so it
Mhm.
doesn't fall off anymore, but it's giving him some warmth.
Okay.
He'll actually grab his horns as if to brandish them like rudimentary weapons, and he will essentially go where the pull is or where the spirits are going.
Uh,
He got woken
as
up for a reason.
as you stand, uh, ghost owl, as well as a few of the other sorcerers, they look up to see you. You are the only living being here, and you are. They 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 beckon you to come over, and assuming you go in to have Congress with them,
Yes.
uh, and uh, Ghost Owl, the Archmage, uh, he explains that there are sorcerers of the enemy, and two shamans uh, attempting to lay siege to this tomb, this stronghold. We don't know what they're after, but they are here, and you can likely feel their will gathering, and they are doing battle with the spirits of this place in the floors above. And they can only do so much from the spirit world, and he asks you, with your sorcery in the realm of the living, would you fight with them?
Which he will nod, almost probably vigorously, and basically just ask, send me to where you need me most. I am at your command.
Uh, with that, he actually reaches through the veil with his hand, and he gives you his staff. Uh, he cannot do much with it on his side of the veil, but you are given a stave, a wooden stave that is quite petrified and etched with runes and sigils of a sorcery that is antique even to you. And he says, I unleash your will upon them. Crush them if you can. And he says, our legions will support you any way that they can from the spirit world, and these sorcerers, these uh the uh these enemies, drive them from this place.
All right. He'll give a bow and by your orders, and he'll grasp the staff tightly. Probably try to connect his will to it, especially just seeing the power pouring from it. And he will not tarry a moment longer. There's work to be done, and by the silent monolith, he will do his work.
You turn to ascend. As you are in, you'll quickly start to remember that Ghost Owl's tomb is a many-layered complex beneath the hillside, so you have to actually ascend while they are fighting their way down. And for whatever reason, they're here. You don't know. Whatever these mystics and these shamans laying siege to this place, you do not know. But you follow the apparitions, these troopers, spiritual troopers, filing up the stairway. You go up 2 levels to the gallery, the open room. You'll remember where Haraka was actually slain by the cannibal mystic, and where the well is. And you're down the hallway and the stairway from this area, and this is where you hear the sounds of battle. Shadows, demons, these diabolical spirits that they are summoning and then sending down the hallway. The warrior spirits of the tomb are doing battle with shapeless, formless entities. And it dawns upon you, one of them is a demonologist, and you roll your eyes and go, damn it. That's the one that has to die first. How do you wish to proceed? There are at least 4 individual wills in that next room that you have to contend with.
Yeah, like you said, he knows he has to take out the demonologist first. He's still trying to get his complete wits about him. Does he have, well, okay. When I go into the room, do I have line of sight to the demonologist, or what I assume is a demonologist? Or is he not seen yet?
You're not in the room yet.
Okay.
You are down. You are essentially down the hallway and around the corner. You're actually on the stairway. If you take like 2 steps up, you will be in that hallway. You take a right, and that's the door on the left. It is at this point where it's kind of like this choke point where you actively see with your third eye there are like 6 ghosts on your side and 12 demons in that corridor, and it is just claws and knives and swords, and it's just you're standing there, you're not taking damage, but you're actually seeing this happen in the veil. Like this is like the veil is extremely thin right now, but you see this, but you can't actually touch any of it unless you, I suppose, you bring your will to bear at this point. All of this is like rushing back to you, and your sorcery is it's like right there. Like all of this is coming back to you. How do you wish to proceed?
Well, he's gonna go up the stairs and go into that doorway. First of all, he's going to open the door and actually go into this room proper. Uh, there's no point in skulking around or sneaking around.
Okay.
And the more time he takes, the less time they have.
As you mount the stairway and as you start to move down that hallway, that strange gravity that you felt before comes back to you. And that immense will of the other being. You don't know what that being was, but the singing pillar speaks to you in these seconds. And okay, I'm saying it speaks to you, but no words are actually spoken. You just get a mental download of what information is being conferred directly to your consciousness.
Right.
Nothing is being said. You just know now. It does not match your current stream of thought. Like you're going, this is what we fucking play for. I'm about to kill somebody. Why am I here? I have been sent back. And then, boom. This immense other will, dare I call it, a necessity, confers a spell to you. In your mind's eye, a spell forms. You think of the concept of winter, ice, snow, death, hibernation. The world goes to sleep for a time to later wake up, and that is the concept of spring. Autumn is very sleepy, goes to sleep. Spring wakes up. Winter is the state between sleep or going down into sleep and returning to wakefulness. In your mind's eye, the image of the coldest, harshest, most hateful winter. Sleet slashing at your face like knives. Icicles sharp like daggers. And cold so dry starts to split the skin and petrify. This mental image comes into your mind. And you pause. You think about what is being said to you. And it's defined for you. The dread magic spell, Fellwinter. Magic should not be that powerful and earth-shaking. But you need to know and be able to speak the winter language. And in those seconds, you're traveling down this hallway, and those 4 individual wills are casting spells. You start to hear the murmuring chanting beyond the doorway, and you put your hand on the wall, and you're tracing your fingertips are being dragged across the wall, and you're starting to leave ice and frost along the stone wall as you creep along, and with your bare feet, you're walking across this stone, this dirt and flagstone floor, and you are leaving footprints of ice. And when you pick up your foot, it like makes that ice crackle crunch sound as you bring your foot away to lift your foot and then stick it down again. You rinse and repeat, and you're at that doorway, and you know the language. In those instances, you speak Hyberian. You speak it like you've always known it. Like, this is silly to think, like, of course I know how to speak this language. Hyberian, the language of winter. And in those moments, these 4 wills together may match you, but individually they are no match for you. They haven't a chance in hell.
Snowball's chance in hell.
What do you wish to do? The staff of Ghost Owl gathers its will.
He unleashes the winter of hells. Yeah. So right, just so I have this in my mind's eye correctly,
Of course.
the spirits and the demons are fighting in the veil.
Yes.
Like, I see this, I feel this, but it's not actually touching me.
Right. You feel the influence of these beings rushing past you, rubbing up against you, but you can't actually touch them unless you gather your will to do so, and they can't touch you unless you enter their space.
Right.
Which means mechanically, if you attack them, they can turn around and attack you. Right now, they cannot touch you. But
to put in layman's terms, ethereal and material.
Correct. And in this hallway, imagine swords rising and falling, and shapeless, almost Cthulhuid-like beings running down this hallway to fall upon these ghosts, dying and being killed, slaying each other. This hallway is a choke point bloodbath of just limbs.
Right.
Battered viscera, but in the realm of the living, it is an empty, dark hallway.
Right.
And
the 4 entities that I'm trying to get to are at the end of this hallway.
They are where you're at geographically. Your hand is on the wall. They are on the other side of that doorway, immediately to your left. They're maybe 15 feet away from you right now. They don't see you. You don't see them. They can probably sense that there's something very big in that hallway, but they don't really know much else. And you feel 4 entities and 4 individual wills in that next room. You also feel the water elemental at the bottom of the well that's being very quiet and very meek and not trying to make itself known whatsoever.
Okay. Okay.
How do you want to proceed,
Ah.
Belgarath?
I know, right? Oh shit. Um, I'm gonna have him approach the door. He's gonna put his hand on the door. And I'm gonna watch this fucker frost over.
Okay, just before you continue, the aspects of winter, for your knowledge, are night, cold, earth, entropy, and the winter equinox.
Yeah, which I have access to the first three. Um,
Oh,
which
yeah, okay.
which surprisingly enough, the second aspect, the cold aspect, I actually gave him a cold aura to lower the temperature.
Cool.
So that is essentially being amplified right now. I would assume.
Okay.
But no, what he wants to do is yeah, I'm going to basically put my hand on the door. I'm going to watch the frost and everything. Um, so this is going to be left hand, hand on door.
Yep.
Frost forming. I'm assuming spreading to the whole door eventually.
Yep.
Ghost owl staff in my right hand. I am gathering my will. I am beckoning the staff to gather its will with me.
Oh, it
If
complies.
if my thoughts and my will is able to reach the water elemental, I will implore it to assist me.
Make
And I
me
will tell her it. What was that?
hang on. Make me uh an esoteric knowledge test.
All right, give me a second here.
Or well, whichever is more advantageous for you, esoteric knowledge or just make an occult test.
I have 4 ranks of esoteric knowledge, so it's
Go for
probably
it.
behooves me to do that. Oh, it's going to be a 16.
Yeah, no, you can very easily reach out to that water elemental. It hears you.
I
It
am going.
senses you.
I am going to implore for its help. I am going to let it know what is coming, and basically ask that it help spread the cold. Because as I'm doing this, and I reach out to this, and I'm doing the thing with the wall, I am basically channeling that dread spell.
Okay.
And I'm going to use 7 out of my 8 points.
Okay.
Like this is going to be devastating. I also don't know if it's
Ghost Owl's staff also has 8 spell points, mind you.
okay. I also don't know because this is my brain just thinking in ways. I don't know if by using it that powerfully, if I could make it extend to the demons as well and basically just flash freeze everything.
Sure.
Because essentially what I want to do, I'm gonna give you the end game to this for a second.
Okay.
I'm freezing the door, charging the spell. Basically, I want to. Am I able to get the door to the point that it basically just shatters from my will? Like it just breaks apart.
The door, the archway does not have a door.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
my hand's just there. Okay.
Yeah. It's your hand is on like the door frame. It's just an archway.
Okay.
Doesn't look
That's
like
fine.
they have any they don't look like they have any light sources in that other room.
Oh, good. That's fine. I don't need any either. It's all going to go dark anyway here in a second.
Yep.
So yeah. So like in that case, the stone is frosting over, and we'll charge everything up, and he's going to step through the archway, and then he is going to unleash the winter of all winters.
Okay.
So he will flash freeze that room. He will flash freeze the hallway behind him. However else far it can reach with or without the water elemental's help. But I'm also guessing 14 spell points between me and the staff, unless the staff is just going to completely exhaust itself and give me 8. I'm assuming that's going to be pretty hefty.
Yeah. No, you can do that. You're not going to exhaust yourself.
No, I'm not going to do all 8.
Okay. Who is using how many spell points then?
I am using 7 out of my 8.
Okay.
And then it's up to you if the staff uses 7 or 8 of his own.
That's actually you, man. You are possessing the stave.
Okay. Okay, so that raises another question. If I use all of mine, I am exhausted and basically out of the game until I get mine back. What happens to an item when it uses all of its?
It goes dormant for however long it needs to rest. Every item is different. It
Okay.
is a vaguely intelligent item, so it probably needs to sleep like you do. Don't ask it to do anything.
Right. No, we will just do 7 each. That way we are both coherent. If not nearly as useful, but at least we're both coherent.
Okay.
So it would be 14 spell points altogether going into this fell winter casting.
Casting a dread magic spell. With 14 spell points used. Okay. Make me a spell casting test here.
The ritual test.
Yes, so ritual test. You're making okay. A spell casting test. Level of spell times 2. Uh that's a that's a 20. Okay. When hang on. 14 spell points used. Yeah, you what did you roll for your spellcasting test? I haven't done this in a while. Magic.
Right. 18, 21. So I got 25 on the roll itself. I got an 18 with the dice, and then 3 from ritual and 2 from my occult modifier. So 25. And then whatever other bonuses I get, if any.
Okay. I don't think ritual as a skill applies here. Put a pin in that. We'll look at it after the session. I think ritual is for something else. I don't know.
All right. What would the spell check be then? It's been forever since we've done this.
For now, we're just gonna say you did it on the 25.
Okay. I'll look into the book later on that.
Okay. He says 25, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. So, a priest, 2 mystics, and a demonologist in the other room, 4 entities, who, according to your senses, hadn't a chance in hell before you learned a dread magic spell. And were gathering their will to battle the spirits of this place. Before I continue, I'm going to describe what you do as you cast a spell. I want you to do it, and I will tell you what happens.
Okay. So essentially, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a slight bit just to paint the whole picture.
Okay, do it.
Spirit battle in the hallway around me.
Yes.
Entities in room in front of me. Hand is on the stone archway. That's icing over. Power is charging. I literally step through the doorway. I do not look at them. I do not look for them. I just know they are here. I step through the doorway. As I do, I will take my hand off the wall, put both hands on the staff, and I will hit it into the ground as we both release our will. And basically, because we don't know if this is a thing yet, if the water elemental is helping me, I will draw that. But basically, what he wants to do is, from his point of origin, essentially, if we took Minnesota winter and went about 2 octaves colder, that is what spreads from him, probably as almost a visible like wave of frost and ice. And he will send it through the room and through the hallway behind him. If this is powerful enough and willful enough, he will basically tell these 4 entities that they can rot in hell. And he is telling the demons that they are going back where they came from. And that is essentially what he is powering it with.
Okay. You release your will and you flash mummify the 4 entities in the room. They die instantly, and the other the demons, the diabolical spirits, they evaporate essentially. This room was full of those spirits, those evil negative energies that they were being summoning from. They were opening portals to lower planes of existence, and they were just gating these things through. And when you step through and released your will, I can only describe it as the scene from the movie The Day After Tomorrow, where it's so fucking
That's what I was
cold.
just thinking about.
It's so cold that the fuel in the helicopter fuel lines freezes, and the helicopters go down, and like the guys open up the side of the helicopter, and he like flash freezes right there, which, if you want to be a hair-splitting son of a bitch about this, for that to actually happen, it has to be like negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit
Hence
for
why I said
that to
Minnesota
even be
winter
possible.
with a couple more octaves lower. The way I saw it in my mind's eye, the end of the movie, when the library is starting to freeze over and they're running away from it.
That's
Where
like
it just covers the walls and just keeps coming.
you're right. That's like winter on like Neptune. Cold. Like the surface of Neptune. And this just rocks through the chamber, and now it's like so cold and like deathly pretty in here. It starts snowing inside, and Gunnar like has been creeping through these hallways, and you've been coming across a couple of the like identical corpses of these troopers like in the hall. Someone has been killing these things. One of them has his head turned all the way the fuck around, like Exorcist style. Like his neck is very fucking broken. Another one was thrown down a flight of stairs, like crash, 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 boom. And even in his armor, he is contorted in a way where you're not supposed to bend like that. He was thrown with such force, he broke every fucking bone in his body in kit all the way down the stairs into a heap. and you you come into a room that's kind of like a waterfall room that you can like skip across the pond. It's got skip stones, and another one, actually two of them, are fucking drowned. Like there's corpses in floating in the water. Somebody drowned these people, and they're just floating there. One of them is not one of these red-skinned aliens. It was actually, you actually recognize a cannibal, one of the Mangokosh people who file their teeth to be points. Someone drowned this motherfucker in the water.
Is that one female?
No, it's a male.
Need to
And
find that female son of a bitch and kill her too.
you've like skipped across the way, and you go down a flight of stairs, and it gets really fucking cold here.
Hmm.
So maybe like instinctively you kind of throw that leopard skin over the top of you so you have another layer, and your torch gutters and then goes out. It's so fucking cold it takes the fire away. And then you peek around the way to see a fae in burial shrouds and like it's like day clothes in a light blue moonlight glow of an icy hell that what like a winter holocaust, and four petrified ice mummies in the throes of some strange posing, and fucking water rising out of a fucking well. That's the scene that you walk in on. And right here, we will go for closing soliloquies. Terry, give us a closing soliloquy.
Pinar is thrown into pitch blackness, but he makes out these images that you've described. And he's thinking that this is a battle that is beyond my understanding. He's not particularly familiar with the occult or with the spirit world, but he's sure that something happened here that is beyond his understanding. And at this point, his only concern is to get safely back or out of the way, because that thing that he sees ahead of him may have been what took all of these foes out. And if that's the case, then that's a lot more than he can take on by himself. So he's going to be very much into stealth mode and very much into retreat mode.
Mike, your closing soliloquy. You're able to spy a human who was not caught in your icy holocaust, that it's like frozen in fear, not by ice, but by fear for a few seconds, and then slowly steps back into the darkness with a nope expression on his face. Your closing soliloquy, sir.
So it isn't until after he has unleashed this wintry hell on Earth, so to speak, that he actually takes a moment to breathe. Like his adrenal glands were probably the size of pineapples at this point. And when it's done, and he realizes that those entities aren't a threat anymore, he will realize that he was actually holding in his breath, and he will actually take a breath. Um, right? Probably a plume of frosty air. Um, he will then actually take a look and see the four entities that he has frozen solid. Uh, he actually won't smile or anything. It's kind of like that grim satisfaction. He didn't really take joy in it. You had to do what you had to do. They were sieging where they weren't supposed to be. And as the water elemental comes up, uh, he will communicate his thanks to it. And he would get ready to actually talk more to the water elemental when he would see Gunnar there. And he would almost like double take. Like, I didn't catch him. I wonder if he's the same. Do I have to kill him too? Like, because yes, he is calming down, but it's still like, was there more attackers? But what we would see close in on him is he would actually look around the water elemental, which I assume when he does this, the water elemental probably going to turn as well. At least that's what he is assuming. He's just going to look at Gunnar and just with like one hand, he's just going to beckon you forward. He's not going to move. He has the staff in one hand, kind of relaxed. But that's where it's going to close on him, is him beckoning you forward.
And with that, the stage goes dark and the stage curtains will close. We will be back next week for the second chapter of this saga. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back next week. Good night, everybody.